Hey everybody, I'm Seth V. Welcome back to the KnifeCenter YouTube channel, and it's our favorite time of the week. It's new knives time. Let's get to it. As you can see from this big chunk of blue handles here on the table, we are kicking things off with Benchmade's latest entire new series, the Water Series. And we're going to start with the fixed blades today, because the fixed blades in this series are pretty special. This is the undercurrent, and it is the most sort of dyed-in-the-wool, true dive knife design out of everything. All of the Water Series knives feature MagnaCut, which is true here as well. This has 4.32 inches of it, and in kind of dive knife fashion, we've got a do-it-all water design. So this particular dive knife has a sort of a sheep's foot tip for a little bit of a blunted approach that could allow you to, do some sort of rescue operations underwater, but you've still got enough point there to be aggressive piercing as long as you approach from the right angle. We also have a partial serrated edge. Those serrations are going to give you more aggressive cutting through fibrous materials like rope, the sort of things you're going to see when you're out on the water. And thanks to MagnaCut steel, it's got incredible stain resistance as well as really competitive edge retention and high toughness as well. It really is the best balanced steel, and the fact that it has incredible stain resistance makes it a perfect fit for a water-based knife like this. These are $250, and I want to mention the sheath. I think the one on the undercurrent is kind of special. This is a color match to the handles, that same sort of pale blue there, and it's got a safety lock. So, if you're mounting this upside down on a wetsuit, even just maybe strapped to your little vessel there out on the water, it's going to stay in place until you depress that lever to pull it out. Works great, got a satisfying click when it goes into place, and yeah, totally locked in. A little bit of rattle on there, but it is a molded sheath, so that sort of comes with the territory. Nice package there for a genuine dive knife design. The next little fixed blade here is called the Intersect. This one is $200, also MagnaCut. It's got the same handle material, which is a kind of a molded santoprene. So it's a rubber type compound. It's got a little bit of give to it, but an incredible amount of grip. Exactly what you want when your hands are wet, when you're working in water. Yeah. The ergonomics here, I've got just enough for a 4-fingered grip if I kind of squeeze my fingers together. Slightly larger than average hands may have a different experience, but works well for me. I particularly like the way the jimping has been extended all the way down towards the tip. It really encourages you to kind of get up on that blade, get up towards the tip. Holds you in place very nicely. This is definitely aggressive, grippy jimping. This one includes the orange lanyard here, a little bit of extra visibility, and a slight lengthening to that grip area. If you want to lay back and get into that saber grip, you have something for your pinky to grab onto there. Yeah, this one, it isn't a traditional water or dive knife in any sense. It's more of a waterproof EDC fixed blade. I think that's pretty cool. Comes with a sheath that is optimized for pocket carry too, which is always a welcome addition in my opinion. So it is an ambidextrous sheath, snaps in slightly, and then you've got the true snap-in retention with the extra loop. If you don't like the loop, it's easy to remove. You can just kind of unloop it there from the back, and it's got a cool take on Benchmade's pocket clip. It's that same black oxide finish that we like so much on a lot of their pocket knife designs. It's got a little hook for grabbing onto your pocket, keeping things in place so that you can easily just pull it out and use your EDC fixed blade. Yeah, so this Intersect might be my pick of the bunch for just everyday use. I mean, the size is perfect, the sheath works great. I think this is gonna just reach well beyond the intended, water side use of the whole series. I think a lot of people are gonna have a good reason to pick up one of these EDC fixed blades with MagnaCut. Pretty sweet. And next up are the two fish crafters. I'm gonna grab them both because they share almost everything except for the blade length, as you can see. So the one on top is the 7-inch. This comes in at $240, and the 9-inch here on the bottom is $260. Let's talk about the big one. So this bears a strong family resemblance to the existing Benchmade meat crafter that's on the market, but here we have, well, MagnaCut steel for excellent stain resistance, and a dedicated fillet knife design. These are, I would describe as like semi-flexible, so they have a little bit of give to them, but they're not, truly ultra flexible like some fillet knives out there. Definitely enough to maneuver and bend their way around strange fishy architecture. The long trailing point profile of this is going to be perfect for slicing. Really efficient cutting geometry here. The blade stock starts out thin and it gets crazy thin behind the edge. Yeah, these feature Benchmade's Select Edge sharpening technology, so they've got a little bit more of refinement to the final edge as well as thinner geometry. So the cutting power here is kind of off the charts. Like this thing, even if you didn't need a fillet knife, I mean, this would be a fantastic carving knife. This would be awesome for your barbecue. I actually have a MagnaCut kitchen knife. Some people think something like that might be kind of overkill, but I actually think it's perfect. MagnaCut makes perfect sense for the kitchen. The added toughness allows you to hold those really thin edge geometries, despite, whatever kind of difficulties they may encounter while cooking. And the fact that it's stainless just makes it dead simple to take care of. Okay, and last for the Benchmade Water series, we have a couple new folders. This is the Mini Adira. We looked at the full-size Adira last week, so let's just focus on the Mini for now. The Mini is $230, the full size is $250, but this guy features 3.2 inches of MagnaCut, of course, injection molded handles, comes with the added lanyard out of the box, and the Axis lock. Great, ambidextrous, smooth, fast, strong. An Axis lock is fantastic. And this design, they've really leaned into the EDC angle of EDC water knife here, especially with the mini size. I think it's well sized. It's a slight step up from something like, I don't know, the Mini Griptilian. It feels compact, but not small. Sort of mini in name only. We've still got over 3 inches of blade, so more than enough to work with. The blade here is got a little bit of toughness thanks to this saber grind, but still comes down to a nice usable edge. The swedge here kind of helps thin out the tip for decent penetration. And the ergonomics are nice too. The handle really locks you in at the front and the rear with its sort of beaks there. Got even some jimping back here for your pinky to grab onto. As you can see, my 4 fingers fit in there pretty nicely. Larger hands may feel a little cramped, but I'd move up to the large size if I was you. Yeah, and you've got Benchmade's great deep carry clip with that black oxide finish. Yeah, these feel really nice, really nice. One thing I wanted to call out before we leave the Benchmade Water series behind us is the new packaging that all these knives come in. It is quite impressive, actually. Packaging doesn't make a huge difference to me as a buyer, but I have to admit, I do appreciate when brands put in the work. And here, you've got a big box to hold your knife in. This is for the Mini Adira, so it holds the knife open, kind of like a presentation style. I mean, this makes them great gifts. A little cleaning cloth in here, and a Life Sharp guarantee. All right, we're switching brands now, but we're keeping the blue theme rolling with this new Paramilitary 2 from Spyderco. These come in at $217.50, and they feature Spy 27 steel and cobalt blue G10 handles. So Spy 27 is Spyderco's proprietary powder metallurgy alloy. You might guess from the Spy in Spyderco. It is a evolved version of VG10. So VG10 is not a powder metallurgy product, but to make Spy 27, they started with that recipe, they tweaked it a little bit, they added cobalt, and Spy 27 is the result. You're gonna see higher edge retention than something like VG10. In fact, Spy 27 seems to be on par with, your S30V type of steels. It's also stainless, but I think its advantage over something like S30V is that Spy 27 is noticeably easier to sharpen. It's something that, if this was your real user knife, I think you'd really appreciate taking it back to the stones and being able to get a new edge really quickly, really easily. It's a nice quality for a steel to have, and not a lot of steels are optimized for sharpening, so having Spy 27 on the market is a good addition, I think. Other than that, it's the Paramilitary 2 you know and love. It's got the compression lock for strong, finger-free, finger-safe. You do have to use your fingers, but you're going to be able to keep them safe operation. What more to say is there about the Para 2? It's a great all-around knife. Some would argue even the best all-around knife in Spyderco's entire catalog. So if you haven't checked one out, this is a good way to get into a Para 2. And, at this point, it's such a well-known, well-liked, and successful knife that it's become something of a platform. Lots of aftermarket scales if you decide the cobalt blue isn't for you, and you can really make it your own. We're sticking with American-made stuff with the Buck 112 Legacy Slim Ranger Pro TRX. A little bit of a mouthful there, but basically what that means is the Buck 112 with slim handle scales and Torx construction. So this has been modernized in kind of all the ways that matter. We've got thumb studs for one-handed opening, nice deep carry pocket clip, ambidextrous for left or right hand carry, and Torx construction for should you need to adjust or take apart to clean your knife. These come in at $449. Part of the reason for that high price is the fact that these are limited. This is a 2024 production, so these will only be made this year, and then you won't be able to get them anymore. The other thing raising the price is the titanium scales. So this is the only version on the market of the 112 with titanium. Pretty cool. It still has the heft of a full metal scale, but it is lighter than the original 112, and it's slimmer too, so it should be a lot easier to pocket. The 112 is a really awesome knife. If you've only ever had a 110, for example, and you looked at this, you might be surprised at just how much handle real estate there actually is on the 112. I get a full fisted grip, no problem. Even in a saver grip where I have to stretch out a little more, yeah, it works great. The ergonomics on the 112 have always been one of my favorite things about that knife, but the blade is no slouch either, especially with the S45VN that is present on this version. Keen hollow grind for excellent slicing geometry, for good longevity as you sharpen it, and that classic clip point profile. This features the straight clip instead of the kind of concave clip found on some 112s, but I think it helps modernize the look of it a little bit. Of course, you've got the back lock. Yeah, opens smooth, stays closed. Really good self-close on these. A nice, modernized, maybe even the best version of the 112 out there? I don't know, maybe. It's definitely a great modern version of the 112 at least. And if you agree, they're available now. Lots of new WE and CIVIVI knives just hit our shelves as well, so let's take a look. This is the RS71 dagger, and the more I take a look at this knife, the more I like it, actually. This kind of overtly tactical kind of oversized dagger design doesn't always speak to me, but there are a lot of cool details here that kind of elevate this, in my opinion. So these are $91.80. This particular version features a black and ivory G10 handle, but of course there are several other variants available. This was designed by Robert Stanislavski and features Nitro V blade steel. But the details here are what make this knife special, I think. First of all, check out the cool sort of, I guess we could call them vents in the middle of the dagger grind. It's only sharpened on one edge here. This is a false edge at the top, which you would want to have in this case because it's completely exposed when closed. One other thing you can see right now, the sculpted clip. Nice little addition here. It's actually stainless steel instead of titanium, but it's a very classy look. Nice long clip, very comfortable in the hand because of its sort of curvaceous shape. The blade is 4 inches long, which gives us almost 5 inches of handle. Plenty to hold on to, works great in a pinch grip. And check out the little sharpening trail here. Tom's is gonna have to get this in close up, but we've got a single jimp, we could call it. Here at the top, matches the same as well. You know, if you had to get up onto the blade, that little spot is just gonna give you a bit of feedback to let you know that the edge is near. And you know, I think that's really nice to have on a knife. Of course, you don't need that necessarily when you have double guards like this. Those are definitely gonna keep your fingers out of the way, but it kind of looks cool. I like how they did it there and decided to do it up the top as well. The action on these is great, of course. Thumb stud, flipper, and this little bit, if you get it just right, even works as a pocket hook. If you practice that, you can definitely get this to wave open out of your pocket. The milled lines on the scale also add a good amount of grip, kind of like little jimping themselves. Just keep you locked wherever you push your fingers, holds it steady. I feel that this is kind of a genuinely tactical oriented design, but with some cool details that make it feel a little extra special. Next up is the new CIVIVI Elementum utility button lock. These are $42.50 and they feature replaceable utility blade steel. Now, we've seen a lot of Elementums, but this is the first one I've been really excited about in a while. It features, as you can see, a replaceable utility blade. Really cool spin on the Elementum platform, thumb studs or flipper deployment, plus CIVIVI's excellent button lock holding things together. The pocket clip is also ambidextrous, which is another nice thing to see on a Elementum design. It's cool to see knife manufacturers bringing, I guess, kind of like premium knife features to the utility blade segment. Kind of feels like they're starting to take it seriously. Utility blades offer a number of advantages over a knife. If we're being honest, the blade geometry is incredible. You know, it doesn't come any thinner than a razor blade. If you don't want to be fussed about sharpening, you can just pop a new blade in. But, you know, unlike the kind of thing you're going to find on a hardware store shelf, this has a lot of the attention to fit and finish, the fun, fidgety features, and just the usability of like a very well-made pocket knife. Yeah, the button lock is so satisfying to use. It's got a good detent here. I'm using my left hand. Yeah, still works great. These are a little bit smaller than the regular Elementum. I can only get 3 fingers on there, but you know, given the sort of tasks you're going to be doing with a skinny little replacement blade, I think that makes sense. To swap these, you've got a Torx screw right there. You know, it's not a one-handed or toolless swap, but the advantage with that is that the blade is held really, really rigid, so it's not going to rattle around on you. It's going to stay put in a cut. These also come with replacement blades and a replacement screw. Next from CIVIVI is a design that, you know, kind of reminds me of the Elementum, but this is actually the Primitrox. These are $58.99 with this Gaborsha wood handles, but are right around $55 for G10. We've got 3.5 inches of Nitro V blade steel here. It kind of feels like a second revision of the Elementum in a way. I think the ergonomics are a fair bit better than the original Elementum. You certainly got more to hold on to. It's a bigger knife than the original Elementum, but I don't know, it feels more comfortable to me at least. You've also got a finger choil for different ergonomic options, but the bones are the same great flipper action. Yeah, ceramic ball bearings in the pivot, deep carry pocket clip, which is reversible in this case. You know, for a all-around kind of drop point, simple, refined EDC knife, this is a great option. And the same could be said about the next knife on the table, the new Sencut Borzam. This is only $39, but gets a little bit of a downgrade from the Nitro V to 9CR18 MOV steel. It's in the like 440 class of steels. You know, performance seems to be somewhere between like 440C, 440B. It's good stuff, actually. You know, those steels are old-fashioned, but they still deliver what you want out of an EDC knife. Easy to sharpen, very stainless, and decent edge retention as well. Yeah, the ergonomics here are simple, but they work. You've got, it's a finger choil. It's a little smaller than on that CIVIVI, just a little smaller. So I'm only comfortable really putting a fingertip there or kind of to the first knuckle. I wouldn't want to really choke up on it like that, but I have enough to make a pinch grip feel very comfortable. The blade shape here is, it's a drop point, but it's a little more dropped of a point than most, I'd say. We're almost getting into modified sheep's foot territory here, but I think the point is sort of skinny enough that it still qualifies as a drop point to me, at least.
So spearfoot.
Spearfoot. It actually kind of works in this case. Whatever you call it, it's going to work. Great cutting geometry here. Nice high flat grind. Pretty thin blade stock. And the same general bones of a CIVIVI knife come on this Sencut. You still got ceramic ball bearings. You've still got great action. You've still got ambidextrous deep carry pocket clip. All right, moving up to something very special from We is the new Nitro OG. This is a Peter Carey design, and we've got 3.8 inches of 20CV steel, titanium frame lock with a fat carbon scale kind of overlay here. Fantastic action, of course. Flips great. There was a mini version of the Nitro, so this is the full fat, full-sized version.
The OG, you might say.
Yeah. This particular version is $369.70, but the prices on all of these variants are actually a little different depending on materials. They start all the way down at $314, go up from there. Yeah, Peter Carey's Nitro is just a good-looking knife, you know? It's simple, but it looks, it has Peter Carey's design language to it, you know? It works great, it feels great. Fantastic blade shape here, and it's elevated with We's attention to detail. Even though the action on the CIVIVIs and the Sencuts is great, I do think you get a different sort of feel when you move up to a titanium frame lock. And it's not just because they're more expensive, but I think it's almost like an inherent property of the titanium. It's such a springy material that when you put it onto a frame lock like this, or even a titanium liner lock, there's just a unique, like, jumpiness, a sort of springiness, a satisfying pop that comes from a titanium frame lock. You don't have to use quite as much tension on the lock bar to achieve the same kind of fail-safe operation. If you want a Peter Carey design on a knife that is just perfectly finished, the OG Nitro is a good way to go. The last We knife on the table is the wildest one of all. This is the new Falcaria. So this version comes in at $352.75, but depending on your material selection, prices can go up from there. We've got blue titanium handles here and aluminum foil carbon fiber on the for the inlays. The flipping action on these is really good. Yeah, not only do you have the inherent kind of springy poppiness of titanium, but the geometry of that flipper tab is way forward of the pivot, so it feels like you just have all this leverage to work with. It just cracks open when you flip it. Very satisfying to use. Let's talk about the blade shape. These feature 3.6 inches of 20 CV steel and kind of a Kiridashi inspired shape. It's got the controllability of a Wharncliffe in that the approach to the edge is the same at the tip as it is at the heel, but being kind of angled like this, you have the unique ability to use more of it in certain cuts. Like on a cutting board, for example, I can get the entire edge down on that board. Pretty cool, something you almost never see with a true Wharncliffe. I think it makes it a little more usable for EDC while still having the cutting aggression of a Wharncliffe. This version has a nice horizontal satin finish to the grinds with a machine satin kind of opposing finish against it. Nice little detail, it really pops in the light, and that subtle two-toned finish even continues up onto the spine where there's a nice brushing on the flats and then a little bit of a softer finish through the jimping there. Yeah, what a just stunning but still usable design. Very cool. Next up, we have some new ones from Sniper Bladeworks. This is the TOG, the TOG, coming in at $325 with 3.6 inches of D2 steel. So these are made in the USA. They have a titanium frame lock. This one has black burlap micarta handles. And yeah, kind of that signature Sniper Bladework pistol ergonomics. If you've never handled a Sniper Bladeworks knife before and you first pick one up, it definitely feels different. As you can see, the handle and the blade here have a very distinct kink to them where it kind of points forward. But once you get used to it, it's very usable. It makes a lot of sense, actually. Not only do you get a kind of aggressive angle of attack as you approach cuts, it's also in line, if you hold it in a saber grip, with the kind of bone structure of your arm. So it just goes kind of from elbow to tip, straight down that thumb line in an uninterrupted line. It just makes these feel very powerful, very powerful. And the blade geometry also supports that. These are super chunky, you know, D2 isn't the toughest steel, but I would have no hesitation about using this hard the way it's ground. It's thick, it's gonna hold up that high, well, that almost a true saber grind there is just gives you a lot of reinforcement behind the edge. This also has a finger choil for choking up, and it feels a little more like conventional in that grip. So maybe for some detailed work or something, the balance is good here. A lovely brutish knife, shall we say. Next up is the AP Tanto from Sniper Bladeworks. This little guy features 2.3 inches of S35 VN steel. These are also made in the US. They also have a titanium frame lock side and black burlap on this one, but I think there's a couple more versions available now. Green canvas, I believe. In any case, the size here is what sets this one apart. Surprisingly, the pistol grip ergonomics still work, even though it's firmly a 3-fingered knife. It locks in really nicely and kind of comes out at that aggressive angle. The finger choil also works. If I get up there, I can just barely get 4 fingers on the handle. Yeah, got a nice depression here on the spine of the blade for my thumb to land in that grip. You know, this one's still tough, but it's just thinner and smaller overall, so going to be a little bit better of a utility cutter. One cool thing about these Sniper Bladeworks is because of that unique blade to handle geometry relationship, the action is very satisfying. They kind of have like a short throw, you know, they don't go 180 degrees open. It's more like 120 or something. So it just, it hits hard when it opens and just seems to happen even faster than usual. Yeah, I think what we have here is a tactical knife that kind of got shrunk down to EDC proportions. Rounding things off with another 3 fixed blades, the first of which is also from Sniper Bladeworks. This is the UC Utility Skinner. We've got 4.3 inches of 52-100 carbon steel here. There are versions on the site that are uncoated, but this one is coated, which is gonna help protect that carbon steel from any rust you might see. This thing also has the pistol grip ergonomics, but they're not quite so exaggerated as they are on the folders. It has a more conventional feel, I'd say. You get a little bit of that angled down geometry if you hold it back here, but if you choke up, it feels pretty conventional actually. They've done a really good job of making this bottle opener / blade guard perhaps, even though it looks like it would be quite a hook in your grip, they've made it in such a way that it disappears between where you're holding it. You know, in this grip, you're behind it, and in this grip, you're in front of it. I don't find it to be in the way at all as I manipulate this thing and move it around. It's very comfortable. Yeah, we've got plenty of handle real estate to work with. Sort of skinny scales, but still hand-filling enough. They've even got a bow drill divot on either side for a little bit of emergency preparedness. I guess with the bottle opener and the bow drill divot, that makes this thing a multi-tool even. The sheath on this is molded. We've got the Sniper Bladeworks logo right here and a Tech-Lock style clip. Comes equipped right out of the box. With Skinner in the name, it's no surprise to see a broad, wide belly here. You know, if you use it in a pinch grip, you can get some of those good skinning style cuts done. But because of, Sniper Bladeworks' tactical heritage, I think it's much more than a simple hunting knife. It'd make a great kind of tactical EDC. With the scales flat the way they are, I think it's going to be pretty easy to carry or tuck into the waistband. It's not too big that it's going to get in the way. It's well balanced and kind of has some multi-tool functionality to it as well. All right, last on the table are 2 new fixed blades from White River. The first of which is the new Firecraft FC 3.5 Pro. White River Knives is probably one of my favorite fixed blade manufacturers, if I'm just being totally honest. They make stuff in the USA at competitive price points with incredible fit and finish. This one is $179.95 with MagnaCut blade steel and super bright high-vis G10 handles. There are a few more options if you don't want to go this fluorescent for your belt knife, but yeah, I picked this one really pops, so I picked it for the camera. Firecraft's in the name, so it's no surprise to see a dedicated ferro rod striking notch there just in front of the jimping. You don't even have to use that rod if you don't want to. The whole spine is very crisp for striking a fire steel. But even if this isn't your dedicated ferro striker, it really walks the line between EDC fixed blade, outdoor fixed blade, and I don't know, even kind of like some tactical rolls with the finger ring at the end. It's trying to do it all and kind of pulling it off. With a finger ring integrated into the handle, it can be very hard to also make that handle work well for conventional grips, but this one works great. I feel a little bit of, cramping here at the end of the handle with that ring, but not so much that it's getting in the way of a good grip, if that makes sense. If you wanted to add a little bit more kind of volume to the end of the handle, you could even like tie a lanyard or some paracord wrap around this. I think that would make it a lot more comfortable in a saber grip. I haven't even yet mentioned one of the big new features on this knife, which is MagnaCut steel. White River's using MagnaCut now, and these are some of the first new options we've seen from them with that steel. I've already sung its praises plenty through this video, so you know the deal, but check out just the finish on this blade. It's like a really reflective stone wash. It's smooth, it's bright, but still has the rough and tumble quality that a stone wash gives you. Really nice work from White River, and a great sheath to go with it. This is Kydex, snaps in, no problem, and comes with the fire steel for you to get a blaze going on your next adventure. And this, the last knife on the table, is the White River Knives small game knife. The big news here is MagnaCut. These have been made before, but now they're coming in MagnaCut. This to me is a dedicated hunting knife, you know, small game, it's right in the name. Bird and trout, perhaps. I like this genre of knife. In fact, I even like it for EDC because unlike a lot of small knives, these kind of bird and trout knives give you a full-sized handle to work with. So even though the blade is only 2.6 inches, we're still working with just as much handle as we were on the Firecraft. Very comfortable, very aggressively contoured here. Look at that Coke bottle shape. It comes into a kind of very thin before it flares out at the back there. Just finds its home in the hand. Great in a pinch grip, thanks to some little finger scallops there. Yeah, not too big of a blade that you can't choke up, get right behind the tip, but plenty enough handle to power through some cuts with a full fisted grip. I'm just enjoying handling this knife at this point. Feels great, looks great. This has black burlap scales, but there are some more options available now. Well, we've reached the end of the table. That's it for this week's video. But before we go, I just wanted to say that for those of you who've been missing David, he is not going anywhere. He will be back soon. He just took a couple weeks off, and unlike previous vacations, he wasn't able to record a bunch of videos beforehand. So you're going to be seeing more of me over the next week. You're stuck with the B team for a minute, but Thomas and I have been having fun. If you want to get your hands on any of these knives, please click the links in the description. They're going to take you to KnifeCenter.com, where you can get this or any of the other knives we have in stock. We have a lot of knives. And while you're there, don't forget about our Knife Rewards program so that you can get some free money to spend on your next knife. And with that, I've been Seth V for the Knife Center. That's Thomas behind the camera. We'll see you next time.